Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back. So today we are talking about MCQs on Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson. So the poetry of Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson will be discussed today. Emily Dickinson was little known in her life. So till she was alive, she was not much known to the people. She was not much known, familiar with the poets. So she was not like having that publicity as a poetess as well. Evidence suggests that Emily Dickinson lived much of her life in isolation. So बहुत सारे साल इसने isolation में गुजारे, अलग गुजारे दुनिया से एक तरह से कता ताल्लुक होके. She developed a penchant for dash clothing and was known for her reluctance to greet guests. So jiska penchant tha, like she was obsessed with or she was used to of wearing white clothing. एक लंबा अरसा इसने white clothing की और उसके बारे में मशहूर था कि ये guests को invite करने में या receive करने में reluctant होती. Her first collection of poetry was published in 1890 when she was dead already. उसके मरने के बाद इसकी collection सामने भी आई और publish भी हुई. A common theme used by Dickinson was death. So she talks about death and it prevails in most of her poems. Her famous poem was titled as Because I Could Not Stop for Death. So बहुत important और मशहूर poem है जिसमें death को ये एक तरह से उसके साथ travel करती है. That happens to be her last travel, as if she's going to switch from this world to the next word. What two images does Dickinson use to symbolize success in Success is Counted Sweetest? So that is in The Nectar and the Victorious Army. ये दो images हैं जो success को symbolize करते हैं. What does the poet describe as the door ajar in I Cannot Live With You? So it means oceans, the oceans. Who is entombed near the speaker of I died for beauty? So it is one who died for truth. So it is just like कि जो बंदा सच के लिए मरा हो उसके लिए बिल्कुल I died for beauty was equal to that. Dickinson was not friends with any important poets. So since she was not an extrovert kind of person, she was highly shy, introvert, and she spent most of her time inside the walls. So she was not familiar with the people. In I Heard a Fly Buzz, what cuts the speaker off from the light? So that is the fly's wing, which creates an interruption or which interposes. तो एक मक्खी के परों की आवाज इसको सुनाई देती है. How many poems were discovered among Dickinson's belongings after she died? So उसके मरने के बाद जो discover हुई उसकी poems, so there were nearly 1800 poems जो कि उसने लिखी थी. लेकिन she never went for publications. Dickinson was a prolific writer. So prolific writer is a writer जो कि बहुत थोड़े वक्त में बहुत ज़्यादा work produce करता है. What intoxicates the speaker in I Conveyed Grief? So this is joy. Joy intoxicates the poetess in the poem. How long has it been since the speaker in Because I Could Not Stop for Death died? So by the end of the poem, we come to know that it seems as if centuries have passed. Death in Because I Could Not Stop for Death is personified as a kindly gentleman. तो death जो है यहाँ पे एक बड़े शफीक से gentleman की form में इसके पास आती है. Because death happens to be a favorite theme after all. Because it could not stop for death, tells about dash of death. So it is about inevitability of death. Like death जो है उसने आना ही आना है, ये अटल है. I heard a flybus when I died was written by Emily Dickinson. In I heard a flybus when I died, the room felt very still. In the same poem, then the light from the windows faded away. So it is a time when she's dying, the light fade away होती है और उसके बाद मर जाती है वो. कौन सी पोम है जिसका टाइटल originally it comes from a line in Shakespearean play Macbeth. So वो इसकी पोम है out out. So ये lines Macbeth से ली गई. What are common themes in much of Frost's poetry? So Frost की poetry common themes क्या है? He talks about death, conflict, escapism, nature, frost, loneliness. तो ये उसके themes हैं जो कि ज़्यादातर poems में आते हैं. In home burial, what is the mother's name? So that is basically a dialogue between husband and wife, क्योंकि उनका बेटा मर जाता है और उसे उस अपने घर के लॉन में सेन में पीछे से दफनाते हैं, नजर आता है वहां से दफनाता हुआ. So उसका नाम एमी है. Something there is that doesn't love a wall is a line from Mining Wall. What is that something mentioned? So it is nature. Like nature does not love any wall, it does not love any border, it does not love boundaries. There is no visa required for a crow to step or fly from Pakistan and land in India. Same is for clouds, same is for rain. So nature के लिए borders and boundaries नहीं है. Nature को ये चीजें नहीं पसंद. Frost committed suicide? No. Though many writers of his age did, but he did not. What actually bends the birches down to stay in Frost's poem, birches? So it is ice storms. So birches poem में वो बात करता है ice storms की जो कि गिरते हैं birch trees पे और उनकी branches को झुका देते हैं. Frost's poems, Birches, is a poem on escapism. So ये जो इसकी poem है ये escapism पे है. He talks about going to escape when he's climbing up the birch tree, when he's coming down to the earth, he's coming back to reality. And he says that it is good going to the birch tree and come back, like one doesn't stay in escape forever. So unlike John Keats, who wants to go to escape and never wants to come back. Frost from Birches depicts the life of a boy away from city life and friends. So it is the boy who is living alone, and he has invented for himself this play that he can play alone all the day, that he can climb up the tree and by grabbing the bushes he comes down. His only play was climbing and jumping from the trees. Frost compares the trailing branches of trees with a woman drying her hair in sun. So जिस तरह गांव में ख्वातीन अपने बालों को अपने हाथों से सूरज की रोशनी में सुखाती हैं, इसी तरह वो बर्च ट्री के पत्ते जो कि नीचे की तरफ जमीन की तरफ ट्रेल करना शुरू कर देते हैं, उससे उसे कंपेयर कर रहा है. The road not taken is a poem of choices. Like you're choosing which road to be taken and which not to be taken. Both the roads represents two choices. Like the traveler initially has the two roads in front of him, like which means that he has two choices and he has to make one of them or choose one of them. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening is a poem by Robert Frost. It tells about a traveler and his horse. The horse represents his conscience or alarm because it gives its harness bells a shake to ask as if there is some mistake. तो वो उसे झंझोड़ता है कि भाई दिस इज नॉट प्लेस फॉर अस टू स्टे, यहाँ पे कोई फार्म हाउस आसपास नहीं है, सो दिस इज नॉट अप्रोप्रिएट कि हम यहाँ पे रुके. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. So these are very beautiful lines. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. So woods are lovely, dark and deep. The only sounds there except that of wind is of snowflakes. सिर्फ snowflakes, बर्फ के गालों की आवाज है हवा के अलावा. The rider doesn't stop long as he has promises to keep. Because he suddenly remembers when his horse gives him alert that he needs to travel further, and before it's time, he has to reach his destination in order to keep his promises. Miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I sleep. So he's using sleep 2 times. So first sleep is for ignorance, that he may ignore or neglect his worldly duties, and second sleep is death, that he may die. So before dying, he should fulfill his promises. In death of a hired man, name of the hired man is Silas. This is a dramatic poem, like dramatic action is there. Silas is master of stacking the hay. तो hay stacking का master होता है. Silas' fault is, क्या गलती करता है वो? That he runs every time whenever they need him the most. जब उसकी जरूरत होती है तो वो काम छोड़ के कहीं और भाग जाता है. Silas' brother is a rich person. कोई बैंक में या कहीं ऊंची जगह पे होता है वो. Silas gets help from his brother? No. He does not count on his brother. Silas in the end dies. So finally he comes home to die. इस दफा वो भागने के लिए नहीं आया. Mending wall is about nationalism and internationalism. So इसका basic theme जो है वो जो एक wall बनाते हैं, that wall represents और जो दोनों ideas हैं वो nationalism और internationalism को represent करते हैं. Wall border को represent करती है. The young neighbor does not want a wall. Young कहता है कि क्या करना है wall बना के, क्या फायदा, हम हर साल एक fruitless futile activity करते हैं. The young neighbor does not want a wall because it is needless. Like he feels that there should not be a wall because there is nothing in their forms that could destroy anything of each other. और कोई यानी जानवर या हमारे पौधे भी ऐसे नहीं है जो एक दूसरे को डिस्ट्रॉय करें. The old neighbor loves a wall because his elders suggested walls. जो बूढ़ा नेबर है इसका हमसाया ऑथर का, वो वॉल्स को पसंद करता है क्योंकि उसके एल्डर्स सजेस्ट करते थे कि बॉर्डर्स होने चाहिए. He repeats the saying of his father, that is, good fences make good neighbors. बॉर्डर्स अच्छे होंगे तो ये हमसाया गिरी और ये नेबरहुड अच्छा होगा. The old man has pine trees in his farms. The young has apple orchard. तो यंग यही कहता है कि भाई तुम्हारे पाइन ट्रीज मेरे अगर यहाँ पे अपना कुछ गिराते हैं तो मुझे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, मेरे एप्पल तुम्हारे ऑर्चर्ड को खराब नहीं करेंगे. तो हमें एक दूसरे से घबरा के वॉल्स बनाने की क्या जरूरत है. लेकिन ओल्ड मैन यही कहता है कि गुड फेंसेस मेक गुड नेबर. लड़ाइयों झगड़ों से बेहतर है कि हम एक फासला रखें. हंटर्स जो उसमें आते हैं और दीवारों को गिरा के चले जाते हैं, सो दे रिप्रेजेंट वॉर्स, कि जंगों में भी बॉर्डर्स का ख्याल नहीं रखा जाता. Desert places is about inner loneliness. So this is a poem that depicts inner loneliness of the poet. And in the same poem, the writer is unconscious about outer loneliness. तो वो कहता है कि बाहर इतनी शाम बर्फबारी हो रही है, शाम पड़ रही है और वहां पे ठंड है और इतनी लोनलीनेस है कि इवन जानवर जो वाइल्ड हैं, जो कि आम मौसम में नहीं घबराते, वो भी इस मौसम से घबरा के अपने कछारों में गारों में चले गए. कह रहे आई एम टू एब्सेंट माइंडेड टू काउंट, कि मैं इतना एब्सेंट माइंडेड हूं कि मुझे फील ही नहीं हो रहा कि बाहर कितनी लोनलीनेस है. क्योंकि मेरे अंदर जो लोनलीनेस है वो बाहर की लोनलीनेस से ज्यादा है। होम बेरियल टेल्स अबाउट अ वुमेन्स कंप्लेन, तो एक औरत की कंप्लेन है जिसमें वो अपने हस्बैंड से क्वेश्चन करती है। शी इज सरप्राइज्ड एट हाउ कुड हर हस्बैंड bury his own child, his own son। तो वो देख रही होती है खिड़की में जहाँ पे उसका बाप या उसका हस्बैंड अपने बेटे को दफना रहा है। तो वो कहती है कि तुम किस तरह के बाप हो, तुम्हारे अंदर इतना हौसला कहाँ से आ गया। लाइक नेचुरली बेटा मर चुका था, लेकिन शी इज ऑफ द व्यू कि तुम कैसे इतना सारा कुछ कर गए उससे दफनाने के अमल। An old man's winter night is about natural and human order। सो नेचुरल ऑर्डर वो है जो कि नेचर के कंट्रोल में, ह्यूमन ऑर्डर जो कि इंसान कंट्रोल कर सकता है। लाइक दिन के टाइम पे ह्यूमन ऑर्डर है कि हम देख सकते हैं, रात के टाइम पे हम दूर तक नहीं देख सकते। नेचुरल ऑर्डर है कि नेचुरल जो नेचर से बनी हुई चीजें हैं वो उन चीजों को वैसी महसूस कर सकती हैं। सो ये बूढ़ा आदमी दिन को तो अपने फॉर्म की हिफाजत कर लेता है, लेकिन रात के टाइम जब सर्दी भी ज्यादा होती है, अंधेरा भी होता है और ये देख नहीं सकता, बर्फबारी भी है, तो वो हर चीज को चांद के हवाले करके सो जाता है, ताकि उसे तसल्ली हो जाती है कि मैंने किसी को सौंप दिया, जिस तरह हम हर चीज को अल्लाह के हवाले कर देते हैं। Nothing gold can stay, it's about temporariness of things। कि कोई चीज परमानेंट नहीं है, हर चीज चेंज होती है। For nature the hardest color to hold is golden color। तो ये वो कलर है गोल्डन जो कि डॉन का टाइम है, वो फुटते ही जो कि कलर आता है, जो कि also treats infants when they're having jaundice। जॉइंटस जो होता है उन्हें, तो उसमें ये वाली इनिशियल रेज तो बड़े शॉर्ट लिव टाइम होता है, वो गोल्डन कलर होता है, उसके बाद येलोइश कलर आना शुरू हो जाता है। तो कह रहे कि जिस तरह ये कलर शॉर्ट लिव्ड है, इस तरह हर चीज दुनिया में शॉर्ट लिव्ड है। Unacquainted with the night, he calls moon a luminary clock। वो चांद को luminary clock कहता है। In the same poem, Acquainted with the Night, the main theme is loneliness। And again, the inner loneliness is more obvious than outer। So जो inner loneliness है वो बाहर की loneliness से ज़्यादा obvious है, just like in desert places। Frost is known as regional poet because he talks about his region, New Hampshire. He talks about the weather, the plants, the trees, the flowers, the animals, the climate। तो वो अपने उस इलाके के बारे में उसकी कंपोजिशन ज्यादा है। 4 times he received the Pulitzer Prize। 4 दफा इसको Pulitzer Prize मिला। In his 1916 poem is often read at graduation ceremonies across the United States। So that is The Road Not Taken। This is so famous कि ये मुख्तलिफ graduation ceremonies पे पढ़ी जाती है। As a special guest at President John F. Kennedy's inauguration, Frost became a poetic force and the unofficial poet laureate of United States. Though he was not official, but John F. Kennedy said that he is our national poet. During his lifetime, Frost received more than 40 honorary degrees। तो 40 honorary degrees इसको मिली मुख्तलिफ यूनिवर्सिटीज की तरफ से मुख्तलिफ डिसिप्लिन्स में। So this was poetry of Emily Dickinson and Robert Frost।